All right, I'm going to start the meeting of June 13th, 2024 of the Burlington High School Building Committee, combination with the school committee. The public can also access this meeting via WebEx technology. The Burlington High School Building Committee will hear public comments in person and virtually. Meetings are also broadcast live on Burlington Cable Access TV, and video recordings are being made. The meeting hearing of the Burlington High School Building Committee will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. If you are participating remotely, please identify yourself by typing your name on the screen in advance and verbally once you are identified to speak. We request that you please turn on your camera, and comments and statements are limited to 3 minutes. You can dial in with the access code of 2345-712-3078, and the password is Burlington. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So first, we are going to approve the May 9th, 2024 meeting minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and I will take a roll
So
call.
moved.
Oh, okay. Chris Monaco?
Oh, was it seconded?
Jeremy Brooks?
Was it seconded?
Melissa Massardo?
Was it seconded?
Pardon me?
I don't think it was seconded. Okay. Aye.
Okay, yep. All right, so Chris Monaco is an aye. Jeremy's an aye. Megan's not here. Melissa Massardo?
Aye.
Eric Conti?
Yes.
Lisa Chen?
Yes.
Joe Adebato?
Yes.
Mimi Bix Highland?
I am here.
Yes.
Yes, we hear you. Yes.
Thank you. Chris Campbell's not here, right? Nicole Kasha is not online. Bob Kuna? Just say it.
Yes.
Okay. Wendy Zawinski? John Denizio's not here. Doug's not here. Neil?
Yes.
All righty. Colin is not here. Esther is not here. Is Laura online? Did she get on finally?
She is online.
Okay, Laura, yep. Gail Pinkham?
Yes.
Okay, and Tom Reagan?
Here, yeah, yes.
Hi. You're present, that's good. Paul Sagarino, not here? Okay, and Mark Sullivan, not here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 in favor. 0. All right. And 14 with my vote. Chair votes yes, too. All right.
Excuse me? Could you clarify, because I thought I was sworn in as a member, does that mean I'm not a voting member? I can't remember. I'm a voting member of one of them, but not the other, so could you just clarify for me?
You are, I guess, representing the public, so I'm sorry, Martha, you were not on my list.
Okay,
Okay, so
one of them was and one of them wasn't.
I will
Okay.
call your name, and you can vote yea or nay to the minutes if you'd like.
So is that a voting membership? or
Correct.
no?
Well,
Okay.
we're not you know how it goes
You
with
just
us.
took a vote.
You can vote.
Aye, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Chris Campbell just joined.
Okay, Chris? Chris Campbell? We just voted, finished voting on the minutes of May 9th, 2024. Are you a yay or a nay?
Yay.
Okay, so it's 16-0-0. All right, we are going to go ahead and move on to approving invoices. Can you put them up? Or?
I will put them up, but one thing I just wanted to make note of, and what I'll start including in this presentation is something that's included in the monthly report, which is basically like an accounting sheet that kind of shows what the commitments are based on the contract values. It's something I've only included in the reports and haven't included it in this because it was just our invoice, but I think now that we have the designer on board, it'll give you a monthly, to the extent you haven't looked at the monthly report, you'll see it, and I'll use that here. And so in terms of the actual invoices, I have both of them here. So I don't know if you guys have seen those on your screen. The D&W invoice is the monthly invoice of $18,000. TAPE's invoice is for $73,435. What I will point out with respect to their invoices, that it includes a number of consultants as they do their work. So this is not this is not unexpected as they go through the existing conditions and all of the consultants that have been going through the building doing their respective work. So I'm happy to take additional questions if there are any.
Okay, anybody have any questions? I mean, I'm going to go ahead and, actually, since it's a school committee vote on the financial side of things, I'm going to pass it over to the chair of the school committee for us to vote on the invoices. And so if someone, yes, I'm going to make a motion.
Okay, let's have a motion to pay the Duran Whittier invoice number 7, May 24, in the amount of $18,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any question on this one? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll put it to a vote. Jeremy?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, now on the, that's 4-0. Megan's not around. On the TAPE invoice, number 240505, in the amount of $73,435.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? I would just like to know a little bit about where $73,000 is going before we vote.
Yeah, so we have the base feasibility study fee, which you can see on the invoice there, and
Yeah.
that current fee billing, which we do monthly flat rate, just like Doran Whittier does. But then on top of that is the 30,000 roughly that goes to consultants like traffic engineer, survey, geotechnical engineering, stuff like that. That's the extra services that you all approved previously.
Strong.
So we have the sort of monthly amortization and then the extras that happen early on like that. So
As we go through this presentation, will there be more information on what you guys have accomplished?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion on this motion?
So this is just a combination of expected consultants, like spread out month by month?
Yep.
So it's not a specific consultant?
yes.
Okay.
And,
Yep.
and just so we're clear, this is, what I put in the presentation is I can pull up the actual invoice that includes the other, it's not just a one-page invoice, it's probably a 5-page invoice that has the different
The way
consultants.
it's broken down into.
That's broken down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I assume Nicole
we're-
sees
we're
all
okay
these.
with
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor? Jeremy?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It's 4-0-0.
Okay. Invoices are complete. And is there anybody online who would like to make any kind of public comment? Because there's nobody in the room. Any hands up? We can check that one off. And I guess the ball is in your court.
All right, so speaking of what's been going on, we just finished this June, so we're sort of 2 weeks into June, but in May, we had been really pushing on the educational visioning process. The last session, Workshop 3, which happened just last week, it's actually a pretty fun process, and we had really good participation, and so we've been doing, that is sort of the big visioning process that's happened over the course of May. But in addition to that, we've also got the all the engineering reports. So we were just meeting today with the facilities assessment working group that we've established, and we had talked about they're going to start getting these reports of the existing conditions that all the consultants have done, and that's like tens of hundreds of pages of reports gone through the building. We've analyzed things. We've come up with the existing lay of the land, if you will, looking at the documents that the school has provided, and coming up with where we are right now in the spring, summer of 2024. We've been doing, actually a big chunk of this is related to the building scanning process. So we've had engineers in a lot of days doing the scanning process so we can get a really accurate model of what is here physically, and not just trace scanned drawings and things like that. So that's another big part of that. And then, so we just finished the educational visioning process last week. And now, looking forward, TAP A is starting to, and I should say that the other engineering processes that have happened is traffic engineering, geotechnical borings, all of that is all done. The field work is done, the survey, the field work is done, and it's now moved to the office part of that. So roughly speaking, feasibility study consists of 2 phases. It's PDP, preliminary design program, and PSR is the second part, and if those are 50-50 of the effort, we're like a little over halfway through the PDP phase, gearing up into the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks of option development. So we're looking to take the educational program, the space summary, marry those into a bunch of options now that we know what's going on with the building, what we think we can and can't do. And the next 4 to 6 weeks are going to be us making options that you guys can start to get an initial idea about the array of things that are available to you. We're not asking you to pick anything or sort anything out. It's just really kind of throwing everything at the wall and saying any of these could be the thing, but we know probably a few of those here and there are going to be instant non-starters, but we need to at least mention that we, turned that rock over and looked at it, So that's the next 4 to 6 weeks. That's what's on the screen right now. And we've also started all throughout sort of the end of May and beginning of June, these working groups. And so we've had the initial kickoff of those, and we're starting to schedule the rhythm and content for each of those. We've also done program discovery meetings with all of the peripheral programs in the building, like BCAT and lab and the preschool and all of those kinds of components. So we're starting to get our mind around all of those components as well. If you want to go to the next slide, Terry. This is just 6 snippets from various engineering reports that have come our way. And so most of these are 15 to 30 pages long of reports on the various aspects here. I've included sort of civil and structural, plumbing, electrical, data, just some of the initial key ones that that I was looking through over the last couple weeks. But really, this is giving us a really solid snippet of what's been going on. You can go to the next slide. And we had a couple of images here that we wanted to share of the last visioning session, which is usually the sort of most exciting one, I would say. And that's where we start pushing around bits and pieces of the school. We 3D printed some pieces, and we were just pushing them around and making bubble diagrams. And we had, I think we had 6 or 7 architects in the room with the 6 or 7 table groups, and it was really engaging. It was really fun to see them make those concepts of school, and the notes for that are coming out pretty soon. So that's some of the work that's been ongoing, and some of the stuff that's coming ahead are in terms of the optioning. The one thing that we wanted to bring to this committee as part of the architect's ongoing work in the next, over the course of the summer is, and it came out of a conversation with the community outreach working group, is that we want to start putting together some just simple awareness videos that can get pushed out to your population that describe the process, where we're at right now, where we're going, and these are like 3 to 5 minute videos that we want to make sure people understand what's going on. And I don't know, Melissa, if you wanted to kind of,
Actually, can I just want to speak up? I know I had spoken to you about it, but for some of these committees too, I had asked to try and alternate between 4 PM and having some
yeah,
after hours. I just want to make sure we try and get those on the schedule, like maybe every other meeting.
Yep.
Just wanted to get
Yep.
that on the.
So the
books.
initial ones that we've had, the kickoffs, the first thing we do is talk about scheduling.
Right.
Is the day okay? Is the time okay? If we need to switch, let's
Right.
switch.
I
you know,
just wasn't
so-
able to make it.
I
so
know you were. I know you were. So we have
It's been
follow-up.
frustrating for
Yeah.
me
Okay.
all along. So, and not it's
Okay.
all about me, but I do want to
Yeah.
participate, and it's
Sure.
hard.
Sure.
So that's why I asked to, just
Okay.
wanted to get confirmation that you had that
Yep.
information.
I do. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the big thing for us is just making awareness that, that we want to start making things that make people aware of the work that this committee's doing, and not just, being completely silent about it. So I think we wanted to put that out for conversation tonight and just say, over the course of the summer, we plan on generating these. We won't release them without somebody from this group saying to do that, but I think we wanted to just have that quick chat.
Actually, I think he would ask Melissa a question, then I'll go to Martha.
Yeah, I was just going to try and summarize the meeting that we had. I think, it was Gail and I representing the communications working group. Happy to look at other times. Yeah, I think you covered it, honestly, just get some awareness videos. I think he was talking about some of the existing conditions so that people understand why we're doing this, that we need to do it, some of the timing, all of that.
And that's what I pretty much had talked to you about too, over the phone.
Yeah, and
So
what,
we're all in agreement on that.
Yep, no, and what I would add is, this is just kind of a preliminary thing. We recognize it's the summer, right? And we recognize that there are other things going on and leading up to the fall town meeting, but starting to put information out there. We're going to have all of these reports that are going to be put into our hands that will also get published onto our website. Speaking of this, I have Rachel working on something about this educational visioning session because there's notes from every session. We're just going to put it's like a blog that will go on the website so people can see what part of this is. And sometimes pictures tell 1,000 words, and somebody might look at that and be like, what are they doing? And it's like, well, they're literally trying to plan what a school would look like and what we need. So I do think, I don't want to get too into the weeds on PSR and PDP. Where I'm really focused is spending 3 to 5 minutes walking around the building and being like, maybe you went to high school here, doesn't it look the same? Because it likely does, or people might be like, wow, I didn't. Right, where was your homeroom? And I think coupling short little pieces like that with, if somebody wants to read the existing conditions on some of these reports, will be helpful to start educating people. And then I think in the fall, that's when we will then get through, the start of school, town meeting, and then, we can look to start having either in-person, virtual, meet the team, this is what we're doing, take questions, something more like what you're doing with Fox Hill, because it will be time to kind of put, this more out into the open. That's what we've been discussing, and I've had multiple discussions with various folks. I think we're all in agreement there. I see a lot of head bobbing, so that I think is good. And that's been the nature of our discussions on this particular topic.
Thank you. And Ms. Simon?
Melissa answered some of my concern, but I just want to reinforce that I like the video idea, and I hope it will include the existing conditions, the idea of, what exists and why it is we need to redo this high school. So I wasn't clear from what you said, but I think that's part of the conversation. Good, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Eric.
Anybody online? Hold on a second. What?
Eric's hand is up.
Okay, Eric. Dr. Conti.
Eric is fine. Carrie, the video, or are they produced, do you have an in-house video, or is this some of the cartoon, the David cartoon?
So TAPE has the ability to do this in-house, and I think they're pretty confident they can produce a pretty good product. So
Sure they can, I
that's-
can't.
So, you know, and I do like David's stuff when it comes to explaining the MSBA process,
Right.
and so I don't think that that's, like, I'm going to ignore that. What this is more like, this is the rock face, and we want to show the rock face. And I don't need a, you know, animated version of this is the MSBA process. You know, I want to be like, this is the condition of Burlington High School, and this is what we are doing as a group. And I think those guys can do it quite well and have done it before, so.
I actually have an idea. I mean, you know, it's great that you can put that together in-house, but I think it might be fun to maybe pull BCAT in. And there's a lot of students here who are there, might have a different perspective in what to look at and put in a video, and they'd probably help you put something together too, and it'd kind of be fun to involve them, I think.
Sure.
To get buy-in from the students and
That's a great idea.
whatnot. So BCAT's listening, so you're on the spot, Jen.
Yeah, so, and just to be clear, who is the person at BCAT that I should be speaking to?
Jen Dodge to
Jen
get it
Dodge,
started,
yeah,
yes.
Okay. We'll absolutely do that. That's a, yep, no, that's great. That's a really
Make
good
it
idea.
fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Anyone online? Nothing? Okay. Next.
I have a question.
Yeah, so the other topics, so, you know, you mentioned, you know, if we put videos together, we want to make sure that certainly the communications outreach group is, you know, blessing it, but, and if that's all we need to do, that's great, or does the committee want to look at it and I send out what it is and I do a Google poll or something like that? How do you want to approve putting material out into the public's domain?
Oh, Ms. Simon.
I feel comfortable having the working group make that decision.
I would say that's typical.
No, I agree, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, then
We
we'll
don't
just
want
go with
like
that.
50 people, you
Yeah.
know, putting input.
No,
right.
and this is
I have a question.
this is information and it's fact-based. This isn't the opinion of the committee, and this is what we're looking at. And so don't think that there will be an agenda behind it. There isn't meant to be. And if I thought there was, we would change it.
You probably want to run it by the committee before you publicize it, but that's all.
Well, I think that's what we were saying, is that we would have them run it past the
Yeah.
particular committee, and then, you know, people can make comments if they want to. I mean, I think you probably have done that enough.
Yep.
That you're probably going to get everything approved, but anyway, I believe you had a question.
Yeah, I have a totally different question for the architects. When I think about this, the high school project, frankly, it feels overwhelming to me. It's a huge building, and some of the things that I see as problems are things that in 1970, when the building was built, people didn't know it would be a problem. For instance, the slope of the streets. And I'm just wondering, as we go forward with this project, no matter whether we have a whole new building or whatever this turns out to be, do we have any way to project into the future and not have problems like that? I know, time
That's a loaded
machine.
question.
And it's just, it's such a shame. That's, the slope of the streets, to me, is a big problem. You know, they're too steep on the, going down from the cafeteria to the auditorium. And, you know, that's not something you can fix easily.
Yeah.
So as I think about it, I just think, you know, I hope we can, even if you look at the Fox Hill School, so many things about the Fox Hill School, if it was a simple building like some of the others, we wouldn't have the same issues with it, like being different. Like, maybe we shouldn't be so different. Maybe we should have more traditional buildings that can last for hundreds of years or whatever, make them out of brick or whatever.
I was going to say, I believe that was kind of pointed out, why Pine Glen, we think, is going to last, or is lasting longer than
That might be
Fox
what
Hill,
made me
is
think of
because
it.
Fox Hill was so unique in the way it was put together.
And odd.
Right, and odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, I'm just kind of putting it out there that I hope that 50 years from now, someone doesn't say, what were they thinking when they built that weird high school?
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah, I think our goal is always to strike a balance between what is useful now and also what's sort of looking at the horizon to understand what might come. But that, it's sort of a double-edged sword, because looking at the horizon can say, like what you got here or what you got in Fox Hill, they're saying, this is the new thing, we got to do everything this way. Then it turns out after a few years,
It's
in a couple
not.
decades, it's like, well, that was a good experiment, but it didn't work, right? And
I know, but if
And
you
so-
look at some of the
Yeah.
old public schools in Boston, they're very traditional, they'll last forever, they'll just keep redoing them.
yeah, no, I hear you, and I think we need to work. That's what some of these working groups are going to be for, is to like facilities assessment and the sort of learning technology and programming side of it, is to look at these things and say, we want flexible learning environments that we can do a lot with, but we don't have to go and, break records on, new things that we're inventing just here in Burlington. And I don't think, TAP Bay doesn't have a record of doing it that way. We're a fairly traditional type of firm, but we do things boutique for this client. And so I think in that regard, we're looking for flexibility and things that can accommodate a whole wide range of things, but also accommodate that specific thing you're trying to do right now. Like if it's project-based learning, who knows if in 10, 15 years it's not that anymore, it's some other thing that's scary to all of us to think about right now. But like we want to make sure that it can still accommodate that if you need it to, but it can still do the traditional thing that schools do. And so we'll talk you through that when we do the optioning, because
okay.
that's going to be part of the conversation, is how well do these things do your educational vision and program. And some of them are going to do it better than others. And you may like the scheme that is more traditional or less, out there. But we need to show them to you so you can at least see what's out there. And then you can say, I like that one, but I like the idea from this one, and you need to merge them. And that's what we'll do. So,
Okay, thanks.
And Ms. Massardo?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think this influenced my choice of architect quite a bit, right? Like, we had a lot of, not tons of different choices, but we were joking, like, do we want to be on the front of Architectural Digest, or do we just want a simple school? And I think that was one of the things I'm hoping for from this architect based on what we've seen. So I'm looking forward to that. The other thing on Fox Hill, we just had another meeting today, but there's talking about like some of the stretch code, or the joke was like, oh, it's stretch code now, but in 2 years it's going to be code. So I think keeping that in mind, I'm confident that you are, but I think that's one of the things we should definitely do to keep in mind, is like what we think will be required from accessibility, from energy savings, et cetera. Like those are big things that we can do now to kind of future-proof the building.
And I was going to add, technology and where we think that's going to lead too, because obviously right now, a big problem is our science, labs are lacking what they really need.
You think?
Yeah, and make sure that those are built for the future too, that, thinking, 10 years down the road, as quickly as that's all, who knows where it's going to be in 10 or 15 years really, but making sure it's flexible. And I know you were going to make a comment or a question too. Change your mind?
I changed my mind.
Okay.
What's that?
Jeremy has his hand up.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, just a simple one, you'll see them walking around the school, and it's a big debate now. Lockers. What do you do with lockers? We can have lockers, and it's something that we're going to have to figure out. And I've seen some really cool things that designers are putting into schools now, certainly at the elementary school level, where it's like cubbies and common space that they can do that. But what do we do in a high school? And, it would be interesting.
And that's something I think you should talk to the students about, because I know when my daughter was here 6 years ago, I'll say she graduated 6 years ago, it's because they really don't have a lot of time. Like, again, when I went to high school, the old-fashioned days, you really had enough time to go between class and grab books, so you were able to drop things off. Now, I know there's not a lot of book carrying around going on these days, but the big thing is the lockers weren't big enough for a winter coat. Most of them don't even wear a winter coat, so it's putting whatever it is we do in a convenient area that if they're going to use them, that it's somewhere they can get to quickly, whether it's, again, just to throw your coat in, like if you're coming in through the front door over by the buses, you've got a locker that you can throw your coat in and go if you wear a coat. It's just, I think, talk to the students and, of course, the staff and what makes sense. But, Jeremy, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, again, I think what we need to our eye here is understanding what our minimum viable product is based on what comes out of educational visiting, what we need for facility-wise, and then ensuring there's modularity and future-proofing to upgrade systems along the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I?
Ms. Monaco?
I guess my concern is a little bit different. Like, you can put lockers in, and you can make them, however you want to make them. But you can also rip lockers out, and the floor is still in the, it's still not sloped. It's like some problems are, you can renovate and do things that, they're costly, but they're simple enough to do. Whereas when you have a building like we have,
Right.
you got a serious issue with
So
some of these
what
things.
I would say, broadly, the topic that you're bringing up is ADA compliance, right? And what I will tell you is I don't see that moving backwards.
No, it won't.
So what I can tell you is that from a future-proofing standpoint, it's certainly going to meet all of the things in 50, 60 years ago. None of that was really in play, which is why buildings are designed the way they do. They have a massive elevation change here.
Right.
And that's what they thought was the best way to get from one elevation to the other. Okay, that doesn't work today. And they weren't looking at the broader community of people and needs. And so, I'm pretty sure we're not going to have sloped streets. If, you propose that, you and I are going to have a discussion out with this meeting.
But can you get rid of sloped streets?
Right. So, I think in that particular instance, we do have to future-proof it. And, what I would say is on compliance with stuff like that, we're not going backwards, right? And so we know what we need to do. I would, when we get to it, and part of the other thing we talked about, and I'm thinking this will be in the fall, is going to, depending on, where we move towards as to what we want to do, that will then dictate where we go and look at something. Like if we come up with, we're going to do an ad reno of some sort, I'm not going to take you to a brand-new high school.
Right.
That doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But if we're going, we're going to completely renovate the building, I can take you to places like that. If we're going to do it just a completely new building, we will go to those types of places so that you can see where designers have moved towards in terms of taking their educational plan and their space summary and then creating the environment to meet that.
Have you all had to deal with a school that had that, like our situation with a slope like that you're having to maybe figure out if it is a reno and?
This is unique.
Yeah.
But yes, we've dealt with buildings that have similar type of situations. From the top level to the bottom is almost a 20-foot difference, and it's really hard to build that kind of thing, and it takes a lot of resources to build, and it's hard to draw and hard to detail and all that stuff, and it's a lot of extra effort went into making this do what it does. And we want to resolve that. And I think we're looking at some options even right now about how do we reconcile this issue and not create more like it.
And
So-
just to add to that, I've certainly dealt with it in other schools, but it's on a much more limited basis where it's like a hallway and you have to create.
Not the whole
you know,
building.
There's an elevation change that because of compliance, and this is a renovation, we have to come up with something that meets code. Okay, but it's not what we have.
Or it's like
Yeah.
first floor, and then, here you have 3 second floors, right? So it's like, and they don't connect and they can't, like.
Right.
so-
Ms. Simon?
If I remember correctly, Terry, you were, part of why you wanted to do this project was because you'd gone through an experience with a concrete building in the past. So we're counting on your experience, so to bring us good ideas.
Yeah, well, and we've known this from the start, it's a challenging project, but we're gonna come up with a solution that's gonna work. And I am firm in that belief, so we're going through the process, and it's gonna be an exciting next 6 months as we start to bang options around and come up with a solution, and, I'm kind of looking forward to that, and it's gonna be the culmination of a lot of work that's going on right now, so stay tuned, I guess, is the message I would have.
Okay. Ms. Monaco?
Recently, I was going between buildings at Mass General Hospital, and if you go from the emergency area to the Yawkey building, there's an elevation change. And it was kind of interesting the way they had it set up. I found it fascinating. I can't describe it, but I found it interesting. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I think we're fortunate with Fox Hill that we're not asking for so much cost from taxpayers that it isn't going to, I don't think it's going to break the bank.
I calculated it out, and it's 60 cents a day when you round it up.
It's that much? Oh,
Yes. Yeah, 60 cents a day.
it's less. But
So it's not too bad.
a couple $100 a year, $50 on a tax bill. But I think we're fortunate that we're not asking for a lot more than that, because I think this project is one that is going to be really big and really important, and we have to make sure it's important enough to everyone that they're willing to support it and pay for it, because it's not going to be insignificant. Yeah.
What I will say, coming out of the educational visioning process, I was there, by the way, you didn't mention that. 7 architects.
Terry was there.
Seven architects.
Was Terry there?
Terry was there.
You sure?
One of the things, and I've heard it through this committee, and it was there too, is that the high school, in addition to providing educational services, is a community resource. And that was probably the number one piece that came through from all the different groups. I know that's the opinion of many people at this table and online. And so that's part of what you're talking about. We're not just talking about a high school.
Right.
And so it's going to be up to us to communicate that, the value to the broader community as a whole, as opposed to just kids that are coming to the high school.
Yes. Yeah, Dr. Conti, looks like you.
No, I maybe have a different topic, so I want to make sure this one is.
I'm done.
Everybody done talking about that? All right. Next topic,
just
Dr. Conti.
No snowflake design.
Oh, really?
Mr. Hartford,
Mr. Hartford.
Please call me Terry.
the educational program, I know that's kind of my office and staff. It sounds like in the next month, we need to make really good progress on that. A deadline is going to help me.
Well, we were going to ask for it on the last day of school.
Sure you were.
And what I'm hearing is that it's not going to be available on the last day of school. But I would think that in the next, I'll call it 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, we actually were just chatting about this afternoon, and I think we were letting the district get through the end of year things, and then we're going to send you a few things that we need to take care of over the next, bit of time, so.
All right, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with Chris and I'll send you a date.
Yeah,
So-
Terry is.
Yeah, I'll send Terry a
the-
date.
The other Terry.
Yeah, the more important Terry, yeah.
Okay.
Right,
All right.
any other topics that were not on the list that anyone wants to talk about? Anyone online with their hand up? Nope. All right, I don't see any more in the room, and I'll ask one more time for public comment. There weren't anyone earlier? All right. So the next meeting is July 11th at 6:30, and the one after that will be August 8th at 6:30. And then if you want to look on the website, or if you can see our presentation, you can see the next 5 meetings after those two.
Mhm.
All right, so anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
No, let's just stick it out.
So moved.
I move we adjourn.
Well, she did already, you
Oh,
have to second it.
I didn't hear you, sorry, Melissa.
I'm just going to say, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, all right. This meeting is adjourned.
I noticed that.